Hello there everybody, Jordan back again with another review, and this is going to be for the 2026 film Return to Silent Hill, and this is directed by Christoph Gans, who also directed the original film, and this stars Jeremy Irvine and Hannah Emily Anderson. When James Sunderland receives a letter from his past love Mary, he goes to find her in the small town of Silent Hill, which appears to have been taken over by monstrous creatures. Just quickly getting into it, guys, I'll give you my stance on Silent Hill. I loved the original video game on the PlayStation 1 back in the day, and I did not like the 2006 film. I have not seen its sequel, Revelations. I know a lot of people like that original movie. I just liked it for a bit, and then it just tailed off. Quite similar to something else I'm about to talk about. But I also only played Silent Hill 2, the remake, for the first time last year. I never played it on the PS2. It was just one of them games that passed me by, which is weird because I love survival horror games. But I finally got into this one last year, and I thought it was pretty good. I didn't love it, but I thought it was fine. It had a good story going for it. I just prefer more like Resident Evil or The Evil Within, to be honest. But going into this one, I was quite excited for it because they were going to adapt that very game on the big screen. And I was more excited for hardcore Silent Hill 2 fans because it is considered the best game in the franchise. So for them to see this on the big screen was probably going to be like a dream come true. Until all of the low Rotten Tomatoes and early review scores came in, I think people may have started to panic, myself included. So let's get into it. Return to Silent Hill. Now guys, for the first 30 minutes I was thinking, what the hell is wrong with people? Because I was really digging this movie. I thought it was going to be another situation like Joker Folia do, because everyone hated that movie. I went in expecting the worst thing in the world, and I came out quite liking that film. I know I'm on an island there, but that was just me. However, here it kind of had that same feeling as well, because this felt exactly like the Silent Hill 2 remake. It all just came flooding back there. It felt like I was back into that game with this James Sunderland character walking around, you know, discovering these little locations that are exactly from the game, the little stores and everything, you know, the nightclub, the mist descending on the town. It looked exactly like Silent Hill 2. Even, you know, before you get there, he's walking through the cemetery and everything. I was like, wow, they've really adapted this well on screen here. I think I'm going to like this film. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be, but that is definitely one of the best positives about the movie, the whole visuals and the first third act, basically. I mean, it actually felt like you were in the game again, just by the camera work, just the way the camera is following Jeremy Irvine's character, James Sunderland, around corners and everything, some overhead shots here and there. I know that's not the actual camera from the game, but it's just the way the character moves and everything. It felt like it was trying to realize you and immerse you into that game again. So, yeah, no problems there. It had a really tasty start to this film. And as mixed as I am on this, there's a lot of great Easter eggs here, or adapted stuff from the game that goes well on screen. Some of it doesn't, but a lot of it kind of did. Like I said, the store locations and everything, a lot of it was working. And even when things popped up on screen from the game, some of the villains and everything, some of the characters, even if it was just for the initial moments, I was like, oh, you know, they're giving us exactly what the game was doing there. But I do have problems with that as well, which I'll get onto in a minute. And I gotta say, Jeremy Irvine was great in this movie. I don't think he looked too much like James Sunderland, which is a little bit of a problem in itself, especially for hardcore fans of this video game series. But I thought he did a great job. I think he had great screen presence. There wasn't any mismatch of dialogue or anything. I thought he'd done a solid job, and I think he thought he was starring in a super cool video game adaptation here, because it looked like his heart was really in it. So even though he doesn't do anything too outrageous or anything, or, you know, is asked to do too much emotional wise or anything, even though there are moments where he looks stressed out and he has to get angry a few times, it's mostly just a strong performance of a leading character making us look through this town of Silent Hill. And I will say Hannah Emily Anderson also does a great job here, but there's a little bit of a problem with the character that she's playing. But every time she was on screen, especially with James Sunderland, or Jeremy Irvine, should I say, I thought she was great, and I would like to see her in a lot more stuff. I can't quite recall many movies that I've seen her in, but I really liked the chemistry they had. It felt like a really blossoming romance from minute one in this movie, and it kind of worked. So good performances from the main two actors in this film, even though Sometimes she did have a little bit of dialogue that seemed like she was reading off a script from the video game at times, but that was just like very minimal. Most of the time I thought she was solid. However guys, this fell off a cliff after that first 30 minutes. Even for someone who's played the game, I was kind of getting lost here because this movie starts to jump from past to present to dream scenarios. I mean, it really destroys the pacing. You kind of sort of getting into it a little bit and then we'll just go back and then we'll jump forward. And I'm like, where are we here? It really wants you to catch up very quickly because something will happen and then we'll jump to another time period and you're like, okay, let me just process what just happened there while I get into this bit. And the movie just out of nowhere starts throwing things at you. And it all feels a lot like random stuff, to be honest there. So yeah, I could take away a lot of the story beats from the game and everything, but if you're a newcomer to this movie, I think you're just going to hate it. You are not going to have a clue what is going on here, in my opinion. I mean, at the end of the movie, there's this couple next to me, and the female said to the male, was that okay for you? Like, and I just, the way she said it, it made me feel like she just didn't have a clue what she watched. And he turned and said, no, not really. So even if you're a newcomer and you probably will not like this, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything for you here unless you've played the game. People who've played the game aren't probably going to like this either. And I think even more so, they will have huge problems with this because it just starts to mess about with the story a little bit there. I mean, they bring a backstory in for Mary, which just isn't needed. It's kind of laughable. And I was like, could we have not written this just a little bit better there? Or maybe held our cards a little bit more to the end? It's like this whole cult thing going on. I don't recall that from the game at all. So that's kind of what I hated in the original Silent Hill, when they kind of went down the cult road, and they do it again here. I mean, it's not a lot of scenes, but it just wasn't needed. I don't think that brought anything to the table. You probably could have just cut that and came up with something different in a line of dialogue later on, because it just adds so much more random stuff, it feels, to an already random filled movie, if you like. Not to mention that she's playing 3 different characters here. Now, one of them, okay, I can give that because she does look very, very different. It is the same actress, but, you know, there's a moment where we see this Maria character later on, and she is playing that character. Now, I know in the game they look alike, and even here, James Sunderland says you look just like Mary many, many times. So that's kind of saying that's why we've used the same actress. But I think this would have just been better if we got an actress who kind of looked a little bit like her and acted like her a little bit, because it's so jarring. Like, when she came up and it was the same actress with this pathetic wig on, I could feel gasps in the audience going, what's going on here? Is that the same actress who we've just seen for the first part of the movie? So that didn't work for me at all, to be honest. Even though they have many likenesses, I think they should have used a different actress. Now, as much as I was enjoying a lot of the stuff from the video game that's thrown in here, a lot of the enjoyment was taken out when I sat back and realised that it just felt like more fan service and more random encounters with these villainous creatures and other characters. For example, we go to the hospital at one point and a lot of these nurses start coming towards James and trying to attack him. Never see them again. I know they are only in the hospital anyway, but it's just like, oh, there's the nurses. There's the armless creatures. There's Eddie. Remember Eddie? Yeah, he's got one scene in this movie and he's never seen again, whereas he's a much more bigger side character in the original game, or the remake, whatever you want to say. He is a boss battle, for God's sake. But here he's got one scene and it's terrible dialogue he's given. I don't think the performance was very good from the guy who played him either. And he's just forgotten about. So there's no point in that character being in this movie, except for them to say, there's Ed. And don't get me started on Pyramid Head, guys. I didn't think this was great at all, from the most scariest thing in the entire game. I mean, he's just laughable. In the game, there is so much tension, so much anticipation of what this pyramid character is. They show you little snippets here and there, and then he is terrifying when you got to fight him and everything. But here he just kind of appears, and it's just this thing on screen where you're like, is this meant to be scary? I was never, ever scared during this movie, even though the game is quite terrifying at times. That's the difference, though, sometimes with games and movies. I do think games are way scarier than films, but when you're taking one of the scariest video games of all time, to some people, the scariest, and not making the movie scary whatsoever, especially when its main antagonist comes on the screen, you failed, really. You've got to make it a little bit tension-filled and a little bit, creepy there. And they show the cards very early on with this Pyramid Head character. And I was like, couldn't you kind of held that on till the end a little bit there? It's kind of fine trying to hold the viewer's hand, even though the viewer is probably lost a lot of the time in this film. And as good as the aesthetic for Silent Hill 2 looks, I know I said I like the visuals earlier on in the review. I just kind of meant the town. The CGI here is bad. I mean, it's not the worst CGI I've ever seen, but you've seen the trailer, guys. You've seen where that road cracks and all the black veins sort of appear on the road and everything. Yeah, it just looks so fake. And it happens quite a lot in this movie. I mean, there's this CGI creature in this film that, oh my God, it was so awful to look at. And I was like, can we just get past this moment, please? I'm hating what I'm seeing here. And next minute, there's a big fight with the Pyramid Head character. I'm sorry if these are minor spoilers, guys. I don't think it's going to ruin the story too much, but when this was happening, this scene, I was just like, this is terrible. What happened? The first 30 minutes were awesome. But as the film went on, I mean, in the game, come on, you get some good boss battles there. It's a good little ending to the game, and I thought, okay, we're going to get a big, explosive scene here, surely. And the third act just fizzled out to nothing. There was no big set piece or anything. I was just like, oh. I thought they were really going to end it on something a lot better there. But no, it just made me want to go back to the first 30 minutes more. However, I don't think I'll be watching this film ever again. Maybe if people start to say, oh, on a second watch, it starts to come together a lot more, where you know where it's going and everything. But I just didn't enjoy it, guys. Unfortunately, I thought this was a poor movie. So unfortunately, guys, this is another video game adaptation that has just not worked. I thought we were coming out of this because we had Super Mario last year or the year before, which was really good, actually. The latest Mortal Kombat, the next one looks awesome as well. We're getting Resident Evil from Zach Kreger, who I trust fully with that. But yeah, the Sonic movies as well. But this one is kind of going to go into the video game adaptations that are just not great. Really, it's not the worst one I've ever seen. There's definitely worse, but yeah, they just can't seem to adapt it properly at times, even though there's a lot of great material there. Now, what I will say is Silent Hill 2 has a lot to take in when you play the game and everything to process. So I can see this being a little bit tricky to adapt on screen, but I still think it's doable in a 2-hour time slot.
No one said it would be easy.
I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now, guys. I'm going to give Return to Silent Hill a 4 out of 10, and most of that score is because of the first 30 minutes and Jeremy Irvine's performance, really. Okay, guys, at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, a fun fact for Return to Silent Hill is that Evie Templeton, who plays Laura in this movie, actually did the voice of Laura in the Silent Hill 2 remake. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed that review. If you want more 2026 movie reviews, I'll leave them in the link down below. Don't forget to check those out. Please leave your comments about this movie in the comment section down below. And if you like horror, please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. It really helped me out. You all take care, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.